This news update is brought to you by
Grab somebody and tell them hello. Your happiness will be connected to flow. Smile and cheer because that is we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. With your hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow, yeah. Grab somebody and tell them this is how we flow.
It's Wednesday, October 28th, and time for the Barbados Today afternoon update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The head of the European Union is calling on Barbados and other regional states to ensure high levels of transparency in the new Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency to be based in Bridgetown. Ambassador Michael Barford made the call at this morning's launch of the center. Our Emmanuel Joseph was there and filed this report.
Speaking at this morning's inauguration of the Barbados-based center at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center, delegate of the EU to Bridgetown and the Eastern Caribbean, Michael Barford, also cautioned that the management of the center ought to be lean and focused so it would not become a burden on taxpayers in the region in the next few years. Ambassador Barford said the EU, which is one of the partners in the center, is committed to further supporting the renewable energy initiatives of the region. He said the €1 billion already invested in the regional energy, more is expected. From the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center, Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
Thanks, Emmanuel. In other news, President of the Barbados Economic Society, Jeremy Stephen, is not at all surprised that the country posted 0.3% growth for the first 9 months of the year. That saw Central Bank Governor Dr. Delisle Worrell reviewing the island's end-of-year projections from 1 to 0.5%.
When compared to last year, where there was an obvious decline, yes, it might seem as if there's a turnaround, but really there's no real change in the performance of the economy overall. So this might have or continues to be an issue, especially in the area or when we're witnessing fiscal disincentives towards growth. But from the report, one would figure that we are primed for growth as a result of lower fuel costs, lower electricity costs, so allowing our non-tradable sectors, that is the services sectors and the import dependent sectors, to really accelerate their performance. So I am quite glad that we've managed to keep our import cover to 14 weeks and that the international reserves have resumed the constant path that we know them to have been for years. So I am generally impressed.
Stephen agrees that the shortfall is a result of a number of delayed construction projects, which he believes will see immediate economic growth for the country if they get off the ground.
The fact that we really do need to focus on being able to get those projects, as highlighted in the report, off the ground in order to get some immediate short-term growth. Barbados has always been driven, its growth has always been driven in our non-tradable sectors. That is what we import, or the businesses that import, or the domestic services, such as construction. And that sector as an entire sector would have underperformed, only grew by 0.1% over the period. And since it makes up around 80%, minimum 80% of our economy, one has to be concerned when it is underperforming versus the tradable sectors, which just grew by collectively 1% during the period.
A financial expert laments that the Barbados Stock Exchange is undersubscribed and is urging authorities to provide incentives to private citizens to trade on the exchange. Investment Director at Our Interest Advisors Inc., Craig Yearwood, says share prices offered on the stock exchange are not reflecting the true value of listed companies, and the problem could be corrected if private citizens were encouraged to invest.
Our basic problem is one of concentration, in that we have a few entities or persons owning most of everything, and therefore the market is less efficient than it should be.
An earthquake was recorded to the northeast of Barbados this morning. According to the Trinidad-based University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, the 4.4 magnitude quake struck around 10:05 this morning. It was located at 13.91 degrees north and 58.78 degrees west and had a depth of 49 kilometers. The race issue continues to rear its ugly head as a British professor reveals that children of middle-class Caribbean blacks living in the United Kingdom are encountering difficulties in gaining access to some of the country's top universities. Dr. Nicola Rollock, who is Deputy Director of the Center for Research and Education and Senior Lecturer in Equalities at Birmingham University, made the revelation last night at the Kville 3W's Pavilion at a lecture on cultural studies.
Some parents don't know about the hierarchy that exists across the UK in terms of elite institutions. That's one issue. But there's also more recent research by colleagues by the Runnymede Trust, but also by a colleague at Durham University, which shows that even when black students have the same grades as their white counterparts, they're not likely to be offered a place at those elite institutions. So this is kind of ongoing controversy in the UK to try to get to the bottom of why that might be. Some speculate, and I stress speculate, that those universities are operating a quota system where they say, okay, we've got enough black students, I'm being slightly crude here, so we don't need to admit any more, we've kind of done our diversity. So it's unknown at the moment.
3 Barbadian men have been remanded to prison in connection with last Sunday's drug bust off Needham's Point, St. Michael. They are 57-year-old Winston White of Vauxhall Christchurch, 43-year-old Alan Gillard of Rawlins Road, also in Christchurch, and 34-year-old Uriah Dalloway of Rockall, St. Philip. The 3 are charged with possession with intent to supply, trafficking and the importation of 492 pounds of compressed cannabis. The trio was intercepted on a fishing boat on which the illegal substance was found. They will return to court on November 24.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter. That's the move for me. Stability, prosperity. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
To news from the region now, CARICOM countries yesterday joined the international community in condemning the United States embargo against Cuba. It was the first vote of this kind since the 2 countries restored diplomatic ties. Israel joined the U.S. in voting against lifting the embargo, but the motion won more support than it did in the past, with 191 members of the 193-member body voting in favor. Cuba estimates that the embargo has caused billions of dollars in damages to its economy since it was imposed more than 4 decades ago. Further afield, a senior Vatican priest has accused the Roman Catholic Church of making the lives of millions of gay Catholics globally a hell. In a scathing attack on the church, Monsignor Christoph Horanza, who was stripped of his post after admitting to being in a gay relationship, criticized what he called the Vatican's hypocrisy in banning gay priests, even though he said that the clergy was full of homosexuals.
In his letter to Pope Francis, the priest criticizes the Catholic Church for persecuting and causing immeasurable suffering to millions of homosexual Catholics and their families. The priest also condemns the Church for hypocrisy, saying that while the Roman Catholic clergy is full of homosexuals, it's also frequently violently homophobic. Father Haramza goes on to urge all gay cardinals, gay bishops and gay priests to have the courage to abandon the church. The timing and the manner of the priests coming out were termed very serious and irresponsible by the Vatican, which said he'd aimed to subject a meeting of bishops in Rome to undue media pressure.
Può essere il nostro rischio.
Saying Mass at the opening of that synod, Pope Francis stressed that marriage was between a man and a woman, although his past statements, such as "who am I to judge?" had been interpreted by some as urging more compassion towards people who are gay.
And finally, Iran's foreign minister says he will attend multilateral talks in Vienna this week in a bid at finding a political solution to the conflict in Syria. It will be the first time that Iran, an ally of President Bashar al-Assad, has attended such a summit with the U.S. Representatives from Russia, Saudi Arabia and Turkey will also attend the talks. And that's our afternoon update, but there's more on our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, our email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, and also on Channel 101 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. There you can get all the latest news and sports. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good afternoon.